What a nightmare. After all this time, House of the Dead 2 still remains one of my favourite light gun games next to Time Crisis and Virtual Cop. House of the Dead 2 is a light gun arcade rouse shooter zombie game that was made by Sega. It was an arcade title at first and later on ported onto the Sega Dreamcast, and that's the one that I'm showing here because it's a brilliant port of the game. For the story, it starts off on the 26th of February in the year 2000 when the undead and odd monsters are taking over a town, and there's reports of it being similar to the 1998 mansion incident, otherwise the House of the Dead 1's mansion, yet on a much larger scale where you quickly find out it's taken over a city as well, and it's up to the AMS agents to put a stop to all this madness. You play as one of the two agents of the AMS. Player 1 plays as James Taylor, and if there's a player 2 you play as Gareth Stewart. There are different game modes: arcade mode, original mode and boss mode. Arcade mode is pretty much straightforward: shoot every enemy what you see in sight in front of your screen. Then there's original mode where you get to pick a few perks at the start of the campaign, and I felt like the original mode was a bit harder than the arcade mode, but it's pretty much the same mode as arcade, just little different tweaks to it. Then there's a boss mode where you can fight any boss what you like and improve your skills. The game can be quite challenging, especially on the hardest setting, which I found it. It was really brutal on that setting. The level design is well done, and there are multiple paths that you can take throughout each stage that you pass through, and not all of them are in your face. It's like sudden hints like, save this person so he can open up a gate. If you save him, you go through the gate. And if you don't, you find an alternative route. And another one was shoot the key on the ground to go through this gate. If you don't, you go through the tower. And finding all these paths, I found it to be quite fun, especially where it can completely change the level's layout. For the AI, I think that is well programmed, and how some of the enemies move. It's like the five-headed snake thing. It's remarkable how that thing moves, and that's when I really noticed how much went into the animation work of these enemies. Each boss fight is marked with a weak point at the start of the fight, and I like the challenge that some of these boss fights give and how inventive they were. One minute I was fighting a bat thing what controls a 20-foot headless axe man, and then the next I was fighting the zombie version of Ultraman. To this other boss fight, who's obviously an ex-porn star with all them tongues what he's got going on. Now I'm going to be a bit more serious now. I found that every boss fight I fought was well designed and easily one of the best parts about this game. I felt like I was at a disadvantage of using the controller than the light gun because I couldn't move as fast as I could with the light gun, and the reason why you're seeing the controller footage here is because I don't have the equipment to capture the light gun footage. I found myself using A and B together with the controller to do this rapid fire movement as I was steering. The only problem what I found of doing this method is it made my hands ache very quickly, and I had to keep taking breaks like every 2 stages. So I wouldn't really recommend playing with the controller because of this. I also felt like the game was more for 2 players in mind than 1, where the enemies were double over in some areas and you had to like take out that enemy very quickly then switch to the other. It can be a bit challenging with 1 player. So I felt like it was really suited for 2 players than 1. There are survivors for you to rescue, and sometimes they reward you with health and add a total score at the end of the stage. However, if you hit them, it goes in the other direction and they take a point off your health. And it shows all the people that you rescue at the end of the level. Right now, where was I? Oh yeah, prepare for a jump cut. The graphics are a massive improvement from the last game, and it knocks it up a gear on the details on the enemies and the surrounding areas. It's a massive improvement from House of the Dead 1. With the soundtrack, I walked away from it remembering none of it. So for me, it's pretty much forgettable. Nothing really stuck out on the soundtrack wise. It's like, nothing got stuck in my head. There's nothing there. It's just like, I cannot remember a single track. For the cutscenes, it's like watching a cheesy B-movie. All the characters, they're all one-dimensional, although a lot of the game's acting just comes off really bad to the point that I liked it. I thought that it was part of the charm of the game, especially with the voice acting. Just remembering it just brings a smile to my face. This is really bad to the point that near enough every sentence just made me laugh by how bad it delivers. If they were going for that to make me laugh, then it's a job well done. It's like thinking about it does really get me laughing.
PAMS. I am Goldman. I don't care if you people try to get in my way or not. In time you'll find out who's right. This is a present from me to you.
Look at your right.
Amy! Harry! Well, friends, I look forward to meeting you people again.
For how long the game is, I would say no more than about an hour, yet this game is meant to be played multiple times because of the scoreboard and the different routes that you can discover throughout each stage. So in the end, I enjoyed this game and thought it was quite fun, and I liked it a lot more when I was using the light gun than the controller. It's not really meant to be played with the controller, even though it does give you that option, but you have a lot more fun with the light gun like I did. It's just one of them fun dumb games what I can pick up and play at any time. So have you played House of the Dead? What do you think of it? Leave it in the comments below. Until next game, you guessed it, I'm fucking off. But if they weren't, well, it ended up that way to the point that I would not change a single line of dialogue because it was funny. Hopefully that came out cringy enough.